Hello everyone, welcome to the sum product formula lesson in Excel school. Some of the students have requested me for a re-recording of this lesson because my voice was not clear in the earlier one. So I am recording the lesson once again. You might see some inconsistencies between this lesson and the previous version of sum product formula because I don't remember what I said in that lesson. But I guess that's fine. We'll cover the main topics of sum product formula today as well. So feel free to skip this lesson if you understood how the sum product formula works and are able to follow the example in the download file. Otherwise, follow me. To begin with, I would like to tell you what sum product formula is. At its basic form, what sum product formula does is, it is going to tell you what is the product of sum of all the products of various lists. So it is like this. Let us write a simple example. Let us say you have two tables like this: sales quantities and unit prices. So you have various items against which we have sales quantities and their unit prices. The first item is 10 units sales quantity, and the second item is 20, third item is 30, and the unit price for the first one is 100, 150 and 200. And if you wanted to calculate what is the overall amount of sales that is generated, it is nothing but 10 multiplied by 100 plus 20 multiplied by 150 plus 30 multiplied by 200. Now that's going to be a lengthy formula if you do it, but using sum product formula we can calculate that very easily. Let us do that here. Sum product, this list and this list, press enter. So what sum product formula does is, it takes the elements of two or more lists and multiplies them. So 10 multiplied by 100, 20 multiplied by 150, 30 multiplied by 200, and then it adds all of them up. So it is a sum of products of various corresponding elements of two or more lists. That is what sum product formula is. I hope you understand what it is trying to do. It is just trying to calculate the sum of products of corresponding elements in two lists. So very simple and very useful usage of this formula is to calculate total sales value or average sales value given two or three lists of quantities as well as their unit prices. Okay. Now I will show another practical example. If you have values with their weightages, you can calculate weighted average using sum product formula like this. For example, we have some kind of measurements, and I will put some random numbers here: 100, 200, 300, 230, 450, 500, and you wanted to calculate the weighted average of these values based on the weightages here. The percentage weight for the measurement, this is 10%, this is 20, and this is 30, and this is another 10, and this is 15. So far we have consumed 85, so the last one becomes 15. Make sure the sum of these values is actually 100%. Then you can calculate the weighted average like this: sum product measurements multiplied by their weightages. So the weighted average is 305.5 because weighted average is calculated as value multiplied by their weightage, corresponding weightage. So 100 multiplied by 10%, 200 multiplied by 20%, and so on and so forth. This is also a very common use in business scenarios where you have a set of values and you wanted to calculate the weighted average. You can use the sum product formula. So these are two very simple examples of sum product formula. At this time you might be thinking, why is the sum product formula useful at all? That is because all it does is it is calculating the sum of products. You need not use a special formula. All we can do is we can add a new column here where we multiply this by this and then fill up the value further down and then use a sum formula here itself. It produces similar results. isn't it? So there is really no need for us to use a separate formula when we can use an extra column. And it seems like the sum product formula may have no real uses. But don't make that mistake yet, because sum product formula is actually very powerful, and I am going to show you some really cool examples of sum product formula. How we can use the sum product formula to calculate sum of values from a list that meet certain condition. We already know that if you want to calculate sum of values from a list based on one condition, we can use the sum if formula. For example, if you wanted to calculate all the units prices that are sum of all the unit prices above 100 or 150, you can use this sum if formula. In this range, the criteria is greater than 150, and only this is there. If you change it to 140, it's going to be this plus this. So sum if formula is useful, but sum if formula has one limitation, and that limitation is it can only calculate conditions one at a time. So you can only use one condition. You cannot use 2 or 3 conditions. You can only use one condition. Okay, so that is a limitation, and we can overcome this limitation using the sum product formula. To do that, I have prepared 2 simple examples. Let us go through them. Here what I have done is, this is a big sheet, but there is no need for you to be overwhelmed by what you are seeing now. What I have done is I have prepared a sample sales database. The values are listed like this. The month on which the sales are recorded is starting from January 2007. The salesperson who is responsible, what is the region, what is the product, and how much the sales they made. You can find this example in the downloadable file and you can play with this. So let's go ahead and try to see. So there are values for all the way up to June 2009 here, and there are various salespeople and the values are mentioned all the way. Okay, so if you look at this, we have around 1081 rows or 82 rows, 1080 rows actually. Okay, so and we wanted to calculate the sum of all the sales that are meeting some conditions. For example, first condition is the salesperson should be Lawrence. The second condition is the region, that is column D, this is region, should be West. So we wanted to find out the sum of all the sales that Lawrence made in the region West. We already know that if we want to calculate the sum of sales that Lawrence made, we can use the sum if formula. Sum if, and the range being, this is the sum range, the range of sum, and criteria is W Lawrence. And okay, I'm sorry for this mistake. This is the sum range, whereas this criteria range is actually different. It is the salesperson. Okay, C4 to C1082 has to be Lawrence. When that value is Lawrence, find out the values, corresponding values in the column F, and then sum them. This is only one condition, that Lawrence, and then we came to know that Lawrence sold $430,000, $430,491 amount of sales. But that is only telling us how much sales Lawrence made in the region Lawrence made. We can also find out similarly sum if region North, criteria West, and we came to know that the Western region made $573,791 of sale. Just so we know what these figures are, I'm going to format them as dollars. Okay, so we came to know that Lawrence sold $430,000 and Western region had $573,000. but we are still not sure what the answer is for this question, that is how much Lawrence sold in the western region. Now this is a conditional sum with two conditions. One is salesperson and another is region. In such cases we can use the sum product formula. Before jumping into the actual formula, which you can see here as well as the result, I am going to tell you a little bit more about how Excel works when it is comparing Boolean conditions. So for example, if this formula will not work, I'm just showing you an example here. If I I'm just copying that and pasting it. If I write a condition like this, C4 to C1082 equal to Lawrence in a formula, since it is comparing, if I write a condition just like this, C4 equal to Lawrence, it is going to tell me 1 or 0. Since the C4 is actually Joseph, it is false. But let me change this to somewhere it is Lawrence here. It is true. So if the condition is true, then you get true value. If it is false, you get false value. But when this condition is actually not one value but a range like this, since C4 to C102 is a range of cells, what Excel will give us is a range of trues and falses. When I press enter, it will not work properly because it is a big array, big list of numbers is coming out of this formula, and we are only using the output in one cell, so it will not come properly. But you get the picture that C4 to C1082 equal to Lawrence. One way to test this is you can pass this to a formula like sum, and hopefully it will not work like this because sum is not an array formula. But we will talk more about array formulas in the last week of our school, so I don't want to confuse you no more, but you get the point that whenever C4 to C1082 is equal to Lawrence, it will be true, otherwise it will be false. So there will be around 1078 values, total number of cells in our range, and it will be a bunch of trues and falses. Okay, so I'll press escape, let's delete. So the sum product formula that I'm writing here to check whether Lawrence and West region and what is the sum is this formula. Before explaining, let us see how it works. So I have prepared a cell where the formula is written and the results are shown. It works like this. It is a sum product of three arrays. This is the first part. The first part is C4 to C1082 equal to Lawrence, and whenever it is Lawrence, it is true, otherwise it is false. Since true or false are not numbers, they are actually Boolean values, and sum product formula works only on numbers, not on Boolean values or text, because sum is an arithmetic operation, so it only works with numbers. You cannot sum a plus b when a and b are text, but you can sum 1 plus 2 and the output will be 3. So since this is actually a Boolean value, we need to convert it into a number, and the easiest and cheapest way to convert this into a number is putting a negative sign before it. One negative sign, if you put one negative sign, means whenever you put a negative sign before something, Excel will try to convert that into number forcefully. And since internally Boolean values true is 1, false is 0 in the computer lingo, and when you put minus, Excel will convert true and false to 1 and 0 and then negate them. So 1 becomes -1, 0 becomes 0 because there is no negative value for 0. Since now we have -1, we need to convert this once again to number, so we'll put one more minus sign in front of it. So two minus signs. If you remember our basic schooling days, we all know that if you negate a number twice, if you multiply a number by -1 two times, it is going to be the same number. So 2 into -1 into -1 is 2 again. So we are putting the two minus signs and in essence converting a bunch of true and false values to numbers of 1 and 0, 1 and 0, like that. So the first part of sum product array is whenever it is Lawrence, this until this whole area is going to be ones and zeros. I'm going to show this output to you. I'm just going to select the values. Whenever you want to debug a formula, you can use this. It is part of our Excel School first week lesson. Select a portion of formula and press F9. When you press F9, it is a very big thing now. I cannot show the entire value here in the screen. Maybe you can see it, a portion of it. As you can see, there are a lot of zeros and ones. This is the internal representation of how it works. So I'll press escape so that the values remain. And the first set of condition is when it is satisfied, it will be ones and zeros. Now that is working against the column C, which is our salesman column. And the second set is D4. D is column for the region here, and D4 to D1082 is west. So here D4 to D1082 is west, and this is again evaluated with two minus signs here. It is going to become as ones and zeros. So wherever the third array that we are giving Excel is the actual sales value, which is in the column F. And when we write all these three things inside a sum product formula, we are going to get the sum of all the values that are there for Lawrence in the western region. So I'll just press enter, and you can see that the output is 137,654. I'll just format this as dollar so you can get a feel of what it is in the dollar value. The dollar 137,654 is the total amount of sales that salesperson Lawrence made in the western region. But you may be curious how this formula is working. You understand the syntax, you understand the portions, but you are wondering how this is working. Now we will go to that. The formula is working because, as you can remember, this will give us a bunch of ones and zeros, one wherever the value of the corresponding row is Lawrence, and 0 when it is not. So if you look at this, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, so the first 8 should be 0, then the next 8 should be 1, and then there will be more zeros. I'll press F9 so that we can validate that. Here, look at it. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, first 8 are 0, then we have a bunch of Lawrences here, so there are 8 ones, and then there are some more zeros until this point. Okay, so there are some ones and zeros here, and then there are some ones and zeros here as well. We all know that if there is a value that is multiplied by 0, it becomes 0. So whenever it is not Lawrence in this row, the sum product will have 0 in this row here. Imagine having a 0 here somewhere, and since this is 0, the sum product for that particular row will be 0. Okay, similarly, whenever the region is not west, it will be a 0 in this column as well. So since this column has 0, the particular row will also be sum product will contribution for that particular row in sum product will be 0. So that leaves out with all the rows where it has to be 1 in these both columns. Only then the value will be actually 1 and 1. So 1 multiplied by 1 is 1, and then multiplied by the actual net sale value will be the net sale value. It might be a bit tricky to understand, but once you apply the sum product formula over a bit of ranges and play with it for some time, you will be able to appreciate how it works and work with it. And do not worry or do not stress out if you don't understand sum product formula, because sum product formula is a workaround that we came up with in the versions Excel 2003 and before. But in Excel 2007 there is a beautiful formula called sum ifs, which is another lesson in Excel school, and I'm sure you're going to watch that eventually. It is available for you to watch. It will take a range of criterias and sums, and you can perform the similar operation with sum ifs. So you don't have to worry if you don't understand this concept. But if you do understand, it is going to be very useful for you, because you can apply this in several dashboards and reports. Okay, so as I explained, it is a bunch of ones and zeros here, a bunch of ones and zeros here. So wherever the value is 1 for both lists in the corresponding rows, only that value will be only then the sum product will take 1 the full net sale value. If one of them is 0, either of them, then the sum product net sale value in this column will become 0, because 0 multiplied by 0 or 0 multiplied by 1 or 1 multiplied by 0 is 0. Okay, so that is how it works. I have prepared another complex example where we add a third condition. It is same as our previous example, but there is a third condition here, that is the date should be 1/1/2007. So it has to be in January 2007 again. If you look at this, Jan 07, even though it is shown like this here, it is actually this date. So we have sum product and the Lawrence West and then a date value of 1/1/2007. Since it is in double quotes, I have converted it into a date value using this date value formula, which is very useful to convert dates. And we are going to find out how much Lawrence sold in Western region in the January month alone. So if you look at it, in the January month, Lawrence sold these 3 records, and the sum of these 3 is 4896. Similarly, you can see the result also here. This formula is exactly same as the previous formula, but with one more condition, date value. Sum product can take up to 30 parameters, so that means you can put up to 29 conditions, and one list has to be there for the actual value. So that's it. I hope you found the sum product formula very useful. In my personal experience, I have found out that sum product formula is extremely powerful and is capable of pulling the amounts based on multiple conditions. Once you understand how this trick works, make sure you put the range equal to operator in 2 parentheses like this, and put 2 negative signs before, so that everything works out smoothly for you. And just as a practice, you might as well put the parentheses on other ones. And you can make these formulas much more readable by using named ranges. Instead of using C4 C1082, you can name the range as LST salespersons, something like that. Okay, I will see you in the next lesson, and please ask me some questions. I hope the voice quality in this lesson is better than the earlier version of it. You will be able to download this version as well as the previous version of Sum Product lesson in the weekly download link. I will be posting downloads by the weekend. So today is Saturday, and I will post it in the next day or 2. All the best, and please ask me any questions in the comments. You have a good day. Bye.